normally we hear from the parishioner's perspective. We're going to hear from both sides. Amen. So let's just get right into it. If you haven't shared this live, share it. Tag someone that you know may need healing from the Lord. Amen.
Yes.
All right, let's get right into it. All right, so is church hurt a real thing? That is a conversation that I've been hearing for a very long time, and both sides of the argument are very dug in. So what do you guys think? Is church hurt a real thing?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
I think church hurt is a real thing.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily subscribe to the politics and the rhetoric behind it.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't know if I'm going to jump the gun here, but I can wait for further questions. But I just wanted to put that out there.
Got you. Pastor
But
Ray.
it's real. It's real.
Amen. I agree. Well, Pastor Ray.
I think that there is a real thing as church hurt, but I want us to get to defining church hurt.
Okay.
Because when people say church hurt, people more so put all of us in the same basket together, the entire church, or basically the universal church, where people just get this, assumption that all churches are the same or in somewhat way similar, because when people say they've been hurt, they don't say they've been hurt by people in church. They say they've been hurt by the church.
Wow.
So we need to definitely define church hurt, like that narrative church hurt, and give it a proper definition. Because people say I've been hurt, but it has been circumstances that have occurred between people within the church that have caused people to be hurt or to hurt other people. And so, but we want to take that stigma off of the universal church, because we don't want to make it because we already have, a very negative narrative as it comes to the church, where pimps, in the pulpit, we're greedy for money, and we abuse and, destroy people's lives, hinder them in so many multiple sorts of ways from what I've heard over the years. So I really want us to get to the bottom of describing what church, if there is not a definition for it, let's give it a proper definition today.
I agree. So how would you guys define church hurt? Because I'm not sure if I believe that there's a thing called church hurt.
And that's what I mean. Okay. All right. So church hurt it's the people that make up the church.
I get it.
And so, just for a disclaimer, I agree with your sentiments of, I think the church has had a bad branding of just people who have made poor choices, and just the intentionality behind certain offenses has made it seem like it's a collective group of Christians who are just out to harm and hurt people. So you're better off staying at home because I could do the same thing with the same people out in the secular world. And so I say all that to say, if we want to subscribe to church hurt, then we would have to subscribe to work hurt. We have to subscribe to school hurt. We would have to subscribe to every facet of our life hurt, because these are just people, married people who have offended you and you take it away. And don't get me wrong, some things that happen, you're like, it's no way, like, you are out to hurt me, right? It's not covering up. It's nothing you can do to sweep it under a rug. But again, my short answer is that it's just people who parishioners and even clergy who may offend someone, and it hurts, but they're just merely people who hurt you. And that's what it is. It's not church hurt. It's a person hurt.
A person. I agree with that.
And I think that's what we need to get people to understand and say that.
It's
Like,
not.
don't say
You
church
can't
hurt.
brand it.
Say I got hurt in
In the
church.
I got hurt in the church.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
But you also got hurt when at school before.
Yeah, right,
You
right,
got
right.
hurt on your job before.
And
Right,
you didn't
right.
leave your
And
job.
you didn't leave your job.
Absolutely
You
not.
stayed in your courses or not, but it still occurred.
Yeah, I get it.
I believe church hurt to some people is anything that wasn't a positive experience or a feel-good experience for them.
Wow.
Just being honest, literally, if you stub your toe at a church, people will say, I had church hurt. It doesn't matter if Pastor Ray spills water on them, it's church hurt. Anything that happens in the four walls of a church is church hurt to some folks.
Right.
To me, that's how outsiders look at it.
Yeah.
And I always think of this post because I'm always online social media,
Amen.
and it says, you guys go to the club every weekend where they shoot up places,
Wow.
they talk bad, and you go there, but when something happens in the church, you won't go back. But you go to the club every Saturday night, and you almost got killed there.
Yeah.
But you don't come back to church because somebody said something to you, and you felt that it almost killed you. Your feelings got hurt.
Right. Yeah.
So to me, what I believe church hurt is whatever people say happens to them that was not a positive experience or made them feel good is defined by church hurt.
Yeah. I get it. Right. Go ahead.
I'm laughing because I agree with you 100%. And I always find humor in everything. I was thinking, like, I never saw the hashtag casino hurt. Like, people.
Right.
Or I got hurt in the club this weekend.
You know, people lose so much money, and
Right.
some people they keep going back. I'm like, yeah,
because it's
Right.
a negative connotation
Yeah.
with church.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's hurt. Because
Yeah.
it's like, I got hurt at a church. And it's
Wow.
like, you might have got hurt on your job. You might have got hurt at home. You don't say you got home
Right.
hurt or
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
hurt or
Yeah.
casino hurt.
no. But in the same token, I can understand people who brand it as church hurt, and although I don't agree with it, I understand it because in the same token, they feel like Christian people are supposed to have this standard of, they aren't supposed to be this way, or they're not
Yeah.
supposed to act that way. But they don't apply the same grace that they want to receive from
Gotcha.
people.
Yeah,
And so what
yeah.
about all the times that we've inflicted harm or hurt onto other people and been the reason why they hurt?
So it's more so the expectation.
The expectation.
So not maybe it's not the action. It's the expectation is like I assume
Because
that
you're a Christian, you're
because
not
you're a
supposed
Christian.
to act this way. You're not
Right.
supposed
Right.
to do
Or
this
you're not
to
supposed
me.
to be human.
Yeah.
wow. Now that's a question, a conversation there. How do we as believers manage the humanity of other believers? Because I think sometimes we place expectations on church members
Right.
that exceed our own family.
Exactly.
Right.
Ourselves.
Yeah.
Ourselves.
Yeah, I agree. So, with that being said, Pastor Ray, you gotta chime in.
Yeah, please help us.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to. Okay, well, you had sent me a message about the sound being messed up, so I was so busy
I got
trying
you
to
working. I got you.
get that together. I was just letting these young ladies here just be in the conversation with you. But the last thing you said, can you say that again?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I was distracted.
I got you.
Yeah.
So we're talking about defining church hurt, and they defined what church hurt meant to them.
Right.
And then so what came out was that it's not necessarily the action, but it's more of the expectation.
Right.
Where we expect church people to act a certain way.
Right.
And so if at the club they fight, we expect it sort of
Because it's the secular world.
because it's the world, right?
Right.
But in church we expect better behavior. So how do we as believers, how do we manage and handle when our expectations are let down?
Well, I think that, first of all, because and mainly in the African American church, right, we put so much expectations on what the church and what we as leaders are able to do for people as it relates to the things of God, you know, because we're this influence. So because we are, you know, we highly influence people to make certain particular decisions in life as it pertains to what should be pertaining to biblical principles and not anything personal. You understand what I'm saying? And so when people go through things or they dislike something or they don't like what may have happened in a meeting or something that somebody said, people offenses when it comes to the church, it overrules anything that but I think it's because people can deal with lies, right? And so when you in the world, there's no truth in the areas that y'all talked about when it's in relationships with people. I know this is a person that I work with and I don't care nothing about them. You know what I'm saying? They not my family, they not my friends. But when you in the church, people become family. They become friends. So when you say something that people don't like, then it becomes an offense to a whole 1,000 degree level, opposed to somebody looking at you and looking down on you saying a foul word while you in the club. It's like, but in the church it's different because it's family oriented, more relational than it is when you're at work and then when you're in the club. So when things happen, people take it to the extreme because you're not just dealing with people, you're dealing with family. Yeah.
So I saw a shirt one day and it said, "Pastors are people too." So how do we manage when pastor lets you down? Because pastors are people too, and sometimes pastors may say something or do something or not acknowledge or just unknowingly, and sometimes knowingly, we say things, do things, can't make it to every birthday party, every event, just all that kind of stuff. So what do we do when the pastor has let us down? How do we manage that?
So I would say, in my early Christian days, I would get upset too because I was just like, this is my pastor. Right. You know, this person is the shepherd of my soul. Right. You're supposed to come to birthdays, weddings, funerals, everything. But then as I started doing more ministry, I started relating to the pastor. And I was like, okay, this pastor is a person. Right. Like, I got a life, they got a life, and I'm doing ministry, they doing ministry. And they're doing it at a higher level than I am. And I'm starting to see, and I'm only doing it at a surface level, how relatable things could get. So when I started to get more involved and do more, instead of be like a lay member, I could understand a little bit better. So for me, I guess it would be, the more I dug into ministry, the more I understood my pastor. So then my attitude changed from, oh, I'm upset you didn't show up to this, or, I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that they wanted to be here, so I started to charge it to his head, not his heart. And that helped me, but I had to put myself in their shoes, and I wasn't even like feeling the shoes, but I had to like do things to make me understand more where they coming from. But if I had not did anything, I would have never changed my attitude towards how I felt about what a pastor should be, or how you're not just a person, you're a leader. You are a woman of God, a man of God, and I didn't understand that until I started walking on my walk.
Wow.
So that for me, I just had to just see it for myself.
So
how does it make you guys feel, and you as well, Pastor, when pastors or shepherds have openly moral failures? Like
I know what you mean.
When the pastor is on Larry Reed, once you make Larry Reed, whenever we mention on Larry Reed, so as a man or woman guy, right? So how does that make you feel when you see pastors who have opened because of who we are? People only really care because we are pastors.
Well, it's so much that I could say to that, right?